Greetings, you fantastic wastelanders. Caedo Genesis here. Now let me start off by saying, don't expect this normally. I'm not about to become a news channel just because a lot of cool things are being announced. However, after watching Bethesda's E3 conference, I had to tap out for several minutes in a hope to take in what I just saw. There were so many details shared about Fallout 4, including a release date November 10th of this year. Now Jordan of 3Day Media and myself did a breakdown of what we saw in this Fallout 4 preview. Our entire conversation is almost an hour long. Here's a snippet of what we gleaned from our experience, with pictures.
And the first thing we see is a foggy mirror. And the character wipes it away, and you see two characters, a male and a female, both of them voiced. And the character creation screen, just tell me about it, Caedo.
Well, it's basically a sculpting system. Like, you can just select a section with your cursor or your controller and modify it. And they have plenty of beards. I saw they have plenty of beards.
No female beards, though.
No female beards. Not that I saw, anyway.
No, but there were no sliders. It was a drag to change system. If you look really closely at the bottom in that YouTube video and you slow it down a little bit, you can see that you click on a particular part and then you can move it around with your cursor. You use a D-pad on consoles in order to move it around a little bit more precisely, along with changing some of the features a little bit. I know that a lot of people were concerned that you weren't going to be able to play as a female. That was a rumor that was going around. Completely untrue. You can play as a female.
Todd said specifically that, if whoever you leave the customization screen with will be your player character.
Exactly. And I think that's really what we expected. I know that a lot of people were worried about it. Caedo, I don't think that you and I were really worried about it too much. We knew that Bethesda was going to do fine.
We kind of know how they work at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it's been...
They don't really try to leave things out.
Yeah. I mean, and it would be weird for something that's been around since, further back than Morrowind. I think you could pick to be a female back in Daggerfall.
Yeah.
Wasn't even a Bethesda game at the time, and you could be a female there. So it would be weird if they hadn't included that. The detail on it was amazing, though. I mean, it was so detailed that you could see the pores on the male's face. You couldn't really see it on the woman's face. It looked like maybe she had a little bit of makeup on. Maybe you can change that. Not sure. Point being, very, very detailed.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other two things that I want to mention that most people I don't think are talking about yet is that if you look very, very closely before he puts his cursor on the male's or the female's face, there was an option. There's two options. One of them was a hit. Again, I'm assuming that this is all played on the Xbox One because it appeared to be Xbox controls. One of them was hit X for body.
So modifying body type.
Maybe we can have fat characters. Maybe we can have really muscular characters. We just don't know yet. But
maybe we can have a really muscular top-end character and then really fat legs.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. Kind of look like a bowling pin.
Yep.
And then the other option was there was a Y button that just said extras. And I'm really curious as to what that means.
Future content, could be mod content, could be whatever.
It could be. Well, I guess not. But theoretically, later on down the road, they could add a race option or a species option.
Yeah, that would be cool. That'd be weird because
it would be weird.
The whole pre-war thing. But
that's the next thing we're going to talk about is that this whole tutorial takes place in pre-war.
Yes.
First time that we're getting any view of pre-war in-game, or I should say the first time that we were able to play through it. We did get a few screens in Fallout 1 and 2 of pre-war. Really not that much, though.
No, very, very limited. They were just cinematic stuff.
Yep. But anyways, You start off in a pre-war suburban home, and you're playing as a normal guy or girl who is mentioned to be a veteran of the war, and you have a wife and a child and a Mr. Handy called Codsworth.
Oh, you want to mention the library of 1,000 names?
Right. So one of the coolest things about they've done a really, really good job with voice acting. Todd said that the voice actors have recorded over 1,000 of the most popular names, and that if you pick one of those names as your character's name, that name will be repeated by NPCs.
Yep. Or at least Codsworth. Like that's all he said.
Yes. I'm assuming it's more than just Codsworth, but yes, Codsworth was the only one that we saw actually saying names out loud. So of the things about this early tutorial, we see a guy from Vault Tech come to the door, and he helps you to assign your special skills. All the special skills look pretty similar. Some of the most noticeable differences Perception no longer mentions anything about the compass at the bottom, about being able to spot enemies. Endurance now says changes. I'm sorry, I forgot the exact wording, but it now affects AP drain from sprinting. So we now have sprinting official within Fallout 4.
Yes.
Which is very exciting. Charisma doesn't mention anything about companion nerve. Intelligence doesn't mention anything about skill point gained. It mentions experience points gained at each level. So we don't really know if that means that skills are being changed around a little bit, or that intelligence is now changes how much experience you get for doing certain things instead of how many skill points you gain.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
Well, we know that it's a growth and change kind of scenario for Bethesda and their newest title, or newest open world title, I should say.
Yeah.
Everything we see here is an upgraded version of what they've done before, or just like a completely different system that works easier.
Yeah, it does seem like they simplified a little bit.
Yeah. Like you have, well, for example, the character creation. Like, you don't have the mess of sliders you had to go through that sometimes bugged out, at least for me. And my character would always look surprised because his eyebrows would be like halfway up his forehead.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about that anymore. And that's something that's actually nice.
Yeah, it is. It absolutely is. It's
Nice.
very nice. Let's see. We didn't see a trait system at all, which I'm kind of sad to say. I don't know if that means that there's no Wild Wasteland. I don't know. We could. It may not just have not been shown. Maybe we will get a trait system. I know that personally I was looking forward to it. I know a lot of other people weren't. So I guess we'll just see on that one.
Yeah. Well, there's also like a big block of time missed because they weren't apt to sharing like much at all of the story. So like you have like when the bomb drops, and then a massive gap of time, and then picking up the Pip-Boy, and then outside the vault. Like, everything in between, we still have yet to see.
Yes, absolutely.
Caedo Genesis here once again. Now, if you want to listen to the entire podcast, you can follow this link here or in the description to go to that. And just so you're aware, they are looking for more guests. So if you want the opportunity to talk to yours truly and the Holotapes Weekly crew, I highly recommend looking into it. As for details on this channel, this week and the following weeks shall be dedicated to a Fallout 3 Let's Play, and you can find details on that in the description and at the end of this video. Also, I'm looking for interesting things to talk about during said Let's Play, so feel free to comment on the vote video to add some inspiration to the series. There's a lot of awesome things coming our way when it comes to Fallout, and I'm glad we can all enjoy it together. Thank you so much for watching. This is Caedo Genesis, and may you wander the wasteland like you own it.